The acclaimed British scientist Baroness Susan Greenfield said that anybody who has a brain is interested in the brain. And I have to admit, I'm moderately interested. So I was taken with the notion that there's an International Brain Research World Congress, a Congress of Neuroscientists. That's what the collective now is. It's happening at here in Melbourne. Pretty much now. Joining me is Professor Fred Mendelsohn, Director of the Howard Florey Institute in Melbourne. Good morning, Professor.
Good morning, Red.
I'm just wondering, if you have a bash like this, usually there's some sort of gift pack for all the participants. Do you know what's in the gift pack?
No, the gift pack of this is learning more about the brain and talking to other people who are working on the brain.
Is it a highly competitive field? I mean, if you're a neuroscientist meeting another neuroscientist, do you have to? Do you want to show that your synapses are really in shape and stuff?
We do, but international scientific conferences are all about sharing knowledge and knowing what's going on in the field.
But wouldn't you, as a matter of course, be reading other people's papers?
Oh, yes. But, I mean, it's quite different. There's quite a delay in a scientific discovery and it getting published.
Right.
So if you go to international meet people, you might learn about things 18 months, 2 years before they get published.
And I suppose you also get to find out what people are doing that they haven't finished yet.
Absolutely.
And if you're just having a conversation, you can say, well, I've got a fairly good idea that I've actually cracked the Alzheimer's thing, but I can't publish yet because all the tests haven't been done.
That's quite important. You do hear informal discussion. But the other thing is, we're humans and science is a social and international activity. And there's a world of difference between meeting someone, talking to them about their work. You get a feeling for how much you trust them, how much you respect them. So you can't replace face-to-face meetings. And in fact, the major collaborations are set up in with people you've actually met and talked to.
Do you collaborate with people who you like remotely by email and so forth?
Oh, very much. I mean, to compete in science, it's an international network. Yeah. You have to know what other people are doing, otherwise your work's not competitive. And when you do some scientific research, you have to publish it so people know about it. There's a saying that the experiment's not finished until it's accepted for publication.
Is that a bit of a yoke, an unnecessary yoke nowadays, that in order to be, a leading neuroscientist, you have to be churning out all these documents rather than getting on with the business of, cutting up a brain with a scalpel or whatever it is you do?
Yeah, I think there is a pressure to publish, perhaps earlier than is optimal. So you need fairly secure funding and a high reputation to be able to hold back publication until it's absolutely top class. So there is a pressure to keep publishing. However, Australia does very well in many branches of science, including neuroscience. We're only 0.3% of the world's population, but we publish something like 2 to 3% of the science, including in neuroscience.
How come we're so good?
I think we've got a great education system, particularly particularly at the tertiary level. Our PhD graduates are really respected overseas. Mm-hmm. I think it's a national culture too, where we're original, we're questioning, we're not bowed by authority. I think that showed up very much in the life of Howard Florey.
I like that idea that Australia, as a sort of contrary sort of nation, is well serviced by that notion in the world of science. Go on, prove it to me, mate. I like that.
Yeah, so I think we're a creative nation. Our public and private investment in science is not what it should be compared to United States and parts of Europe. But I think there's a growing awareness, particularly at the state level, the Victorian state government, the Queensland state government. I'd pick out those two. Really realise that Australia's future is in our brains and our creativity and innovation.
Yeah, well, we're not going to be exporting water, are we?
No, no.
Oh, well, any big exciting breakthroughs going to be announced?
It's hard to know, but I mean, I think just talking generally, there's enormous progress being made in areas like neurodegenerative diseases. That includes Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, motor neuron disease. Yeah. We don't have the answers yet, but understanding what goes wrong that causes these at a molecular level is moving very fast. And given the amount of resources being injected around the world, neuroscience is a very hot country and a very hot area in every country that does science. I think, in the next decade we'll see extraordinary progress.
Do you do crossword puzzles and all that sort of nonsense and play Scrabble, and do you do exercises for your brain?
I think our work is exercise for the brain, and so it is for many people, plus hobbies. But yeah, I mean, there is good evidence that you use it or lose it. If you use your brain, it seems to be protective in ways we're only beginning to understand.
Mm-hmm. So how many people are coming?
About 2,300 from 63 different countries. So this is the major international brain research meeting. It's the first time this meeting's been held in Australia. It's traditionally been mainly in Europe.
Uh-huh.
So it's very exciting to have all of these outstanding people.
I'm just wondering, when an aircraft carrier comes into port and 2,000 sailors disperse themselves around, hit the ground, one kind of knows to keep off the streets, basically. Is that true of neuroscientists? What do they get up to when they're away from home?
Well, I'm sure they get up to something, but I'm sure they have fun, but they're pretty sober a lot. They're people who are really serious about science, but I'm sure they have fun too.
Who's coming? Any big stars?
Yes, we've got Professor Peter Agri, who won the Nobel Prize for chemistry, actually, in 2003. He's giving the opening lecture. He discovered some proteins called aquaporins, which allow water to go in and out of our cells.
Is he a very handsome man? Because I would find that really annoying if he had the Nobel Prize and he was really handsome.
Yes, I think he is.
Yeah, there's no justice in the world, is there?
Sorry?
There's no justice in the world.
Well, he's actually quite a humble man from a farming community in Minnesota, and he actually did medicine. He was a hematologist, but he was also very interested in basic laboratory research and made this discovery that's relevant to the whole of biology, really, and we're still only beginning to realise its importance.
So if he became a doctor and then... But this wasn't his hobby. He became a professional researcher, I presume.
Yeah, bench researcher, yeah. Basic biochemistry, really.
Must have finished his education somewhere in his late 50s, I would imagine.
Perpetual
student.
I think in science we're all perpetual students. The world of science has changed so much in the last 10 years and every 10 years before that we're all dealing with different things than we were then. And that rate of progress is actually accelerating. Things like the Human Genome Project have been a huge boost to the whole of medicine, every branch of medicine.
It's rather annoying, though, that we thought that the decoding the human genome was going to take decades, but they whacked in a couple of computers and Bob's your uncle.
Absolutely. How
are we supposed to keep up with that?
It was finished decades earlier than predicted, and billions of dollars under budget, and that's because the technology developed while the project was going on. And when we make predictions about the future, we go out linearly in a straight line, but of course growth in knowledge is exponential, and that's why I'm so optimistic that really big advances are going to come in neuroscience in the next few decades.
Well, I just hope it's not too late for you and I.
Well, there's a lot you can do to maintain your brain, as you were saying, not only using your brain, but exercise seems to be good for your brain.
Coffee's good.
People have tried to pin bad things on coffee for a long time, but the only one that seems to stick is it can make you nervous. But other things like getting your blood pressure measured and treating it if it's high not only protects you against stroke, but reduces your chance of getting Alzheimer's dementia.
Is that right? I think my blood pressure's all right. How's yours?
Good.
Good.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll see you at the turn of the next century then. Lovely talking to you.
Okay.
And have a nice Congress.
Thank you.
You're more than welcome.
Good.
Thanks for talking to us.
Bye-bye.
Professor Fred Mendelsohn, Director of the Howard Florey Institute in Melbourne and one of the world's leading